to do now is introduce our next speaker. It's Kulwinder Johal, who is General Counsel at Severn Trent Water. So, thank you.
Hi, thanks everyone. So my presentation is quite different, I think, from what you've seen so far. I'm not really going to talk about the what we did, I'm going to talk about how we did it, okay? So some of you may have heard of Severn Trent Water, but unfortunately if you're not in the Midlands, you may not have. So just going to tell you a little bit about what we do. So my challenge a year ago was to implement GDPR across Severn Trent Group, okay? And they literally gave me a year, okay? Severn Trent is made up of lots of different companies, so Severn Trent Water, Dee Valley Water, which we acquired, which is a water company in Wales. We also do a lot in terms of recycling, so food recycling, green power, and obviously we dig up roads and put pipes in, okay? So quite a diverse group of companies, and the challenge is obviously quite different across each of those segments. So one of the things I did, and having just come off water competition, so the market opened on the 1st of April last year. That was my previous project, so I like regulation. So this was the next gift I got from Severn Trent, was to look at how do we implement. So one of the things I did was really look back at what worked well and what hadn't worked well in opening the market. And one of the key things was engagement. And that hadn't worked as well. We hadn't landed the messages as quickly or as positively as we could have. And so one of the things I really wanted to do in this project was to make sure we took that opportunity. So that's why I'm going to talk to you about what we've done in terms of engagement and communication. So whilst we've done all the other things that the other speakers have already spoken to you about, this hopefully will give you some pointers if you haven't already landed those messages that might be able to help you. Okay. So we have 4.2 million customers, we've got 8,000 employees, and one of the things we needed to do was really keep the messages simple. Okay, so again, taking my learning from the previous project was really thinking about, right, how do we land one or two really key messages? So as I said, we've got group companies, we have directorates, so we've got about 10 different directorates, all of them do different things. We've got engineers, we've got customer-facing teams, we've got HR, we've got general counsel, we've got our supplier, group commercial. So every single one of those areas had a different challenge. So one of the first things we did was really pull together some key stakeholders from each of those groups. So we had 2 representatives from each directorate, at a strategic level and also at a business level, so that we had a sort of a group of people that we could try and almost upskill and help us to relay the messages. That was really important, and something we hadn't done previously. And I'd like to say that that's the thing that's really worked for us, is having that engagement with those groups of people. It's almost having your own sort of messengers within each of the teams. Those people have gone on to be our data owners and data stewards as part of our governance. They really now enjoy GDPR, which is quite amazing. And I think part of that is down to the way we've engaged people. Okay, so data protection, everyone just grows, don't they? And like other companies, we've had stuff in place previously, we have training, we've got good practices and policies, but actually it wasn't really talked about. No one really talked about data protection. No one really thought about data protection. I'd like to just do a quick test actually. How many people have reported data breaches since the 25th of May? Just one. Okay, I'm going to put my hand up, right, because whilst they weren't ICO reportable, what we found as part of our engagement is that more people within the company, so of our 8,000 employees, were starting to tell us about breaches. We're trying to tell us that these things aren't working properly. So we're getting minor breaches, which we weren't seeing previously. So we actually had a massive uptake. So that's one of the things that we've really learned from it. So you're probably wondering why I've got the number 72 there, okay? Because we really simplified our message. So what we did back in June, July, was go out and talk to different areas of the business and give them some general awareness about what GDPR is. It's come in because of electronic data. It's really, we're not changing completely, we're just evolving. And it's really about what you need to do differently. Okay, so those are the messages. 72 came in a little bit later, and you can see our little logo. We've also got a logo. We have a little matrix man, and hashtag it's personal, which has been with us for the whole time. So 72 came about as we got into thinking about, so we did our data mapping and people were involved helping us with that. But the 72 really landed for us when we started to do some roadshows just before Christmas. And what it really meant for us, two things. One, we only have 72 hours to report a breach. It was really important for every single person to know that. Okay? The second one for us, and it was just really uncanny, but it meant that we could get a fine of up to £72 million, which is 4% for us. So the fact that those two things really worked for us, that's one of the reasons we managed to land our message so clearly. We gave people some really clear things to think about, the impact and what they need to do about it. And that's pretty much what we rode on. Okay? So we spent a lot of time between December and even now engaging our people. We spent more time doing that than we did trying to update our policies. Not that we didn't, we've done all of that as well. And I'm talking about a team of 2 people. So there's myself as the data governance lead, and we have CDO, Chief Data Officer. So between 2 of us, we have done all of this GDPR work, okay, across all of our group companies. So one of the key things we did was try to find the hooks. So that's probably my second piece. So we simplified the message. The second thing we did was, how can we land something that's really dull, that people just groan, and make it really fun and exciting? Okay, so we gamified a lot of stuff. We did competitions and roadshows. We had a big Christmas campaign with reindeers. So we had Rudolph, Dancer, Prancer, and Jeff, which obviously is about GDPR. So Jeff was our naughty reindeer, and he went around different sites, and we have a lot of sites. So we've got 1,500 works, and obviously we've got all our other offices, so lots of people to engage, and sometimes only small amounts of people on each site, but we've been round and tried to visit a lot of those sites already, and we are continuing. So you're probably thinking, right, so okay, so why have you got game shows and superheroes, right? So game shows was our big thing. So come Christmas, we did our big campaign on reindeers. We did sort of a video as well that people could watch. We did a lot of what we, I don't know if people use Yammer, but we did a lot of Yammer as like Facebook for business. So we did a lot of posts, conversations. And then the big thing that we did for our leadership population was a game show. So if you remember Strike It Lucky, we did something similar, and we had the most enormous stage built very cheaply, because we didn't spend a lot of money on any of this stuff. And we had sparkly bow ties, and we had a big 72 which had big sort of silver dust all over it. And we made it into a game show. And that landed our message about what is a breach. So we literally went through and took some real examples and some not so real examples and got people in teams. So we had a population of 300, and we had teams of, we were doing 30 people at a time, so we had teams of 10, and they had to answer the questions, and they would sort of one of them would get up on the stage, and they'd have to go up the stairs and down the stairs, and I loved it. So these are the sort of things that really helped us to land stuff. People are still talking about it now. So superheroes might be our next thing. We're still trying to work out who's going to be what. So these sort of competitions, quizzes, we've used Kahoot to build quizzes, have really helped to land the messages, and we've done it all around real stuff, around real breaches. They're either very minor or they're things from the media that we've seen already, and we're trying to get people to really understand what's a data breach. Because you can have all the policies and the training and everything else, but people don't recognise the breach. You'll never hit the 72-hour reporting, and that was really key for us. So obviously, relentless engagement, that's pretty much what we've been doing. That's almost the full-time job. We would be engaging in the day and working at night. Yeah. So between sort of May last year and May this year, that's all we've done. And a lot of this is face-to-face. So one of the other things that we did was the engagement with the business really led us to revamp our e-learning. So we have an e-learning, and we had a data protection e-learning, which was, I have to say, as dull as dishwater. And it was literally just around the law. So we were trying to teach people the law. Okay, now that's never going to land when you've got guys who go and dig the road. How are they going to understand the law. Yeah, so they're not. So what we did, we engaged a subset of the business, again, representatives from each area, and we built our own e-learning. And this took the best part of about 3 months, not full time, but with input from different people. And what we then did, we were given the challenge of tailoring it to different subsets of people. So we had our customer agents, our front-facing people, we had our field workers, we had our office staff, we had a group commercial, and we had HR. They were like our really key areas. So what we did is, part of the e-learning was about understanding what you had to do. So we told them the principles of GDPR, but actually then made it really practical. And then the other piece was about making sure that they understood their area, their role, and what they needed to do. So we built scenarios around the individual areas like HR and field workers and customer-facing teams. And I have to say that, again, we had a 99.8% uptake within 6 weeks. So, and we've never done that before. And at the end, the test that they had to do, they had to score 100%. And we've only ever done 80% before. So we've always had room for failure. And we decided, actually, we don't want any failures. We want everyone to understand. So we put it at 100%. And again, that's landed really well, to the point now we're being asked, as part of other people doing e-learning, how did you do that? What did you do? So we're using that learning now, going forward with other e-learning, other e-learning that we do. Okay. So what we've shared, so this is just a picture of some of the things we've done. So you can see there, we did massive countdowns, GDPR, 2 days to go, 1 day to go. We'd had big banners. The other key message that we landed was people getting rid of data. We were just having a conversation earlier with a few people here around data retention. And actually one of the key things you can do is get your own people to get rid of that data, because there's only so much automation you can do. But you have to get people to own the problem and try and help you get rid of the data. So as I said, there's a team of 2 of us. So, we cannot get to every single person all of the time. So by landing messages like delete, 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 which is what we gave them, was go and tidy your inbox, stop storing personal data in your inboxes, tidy up your drives, make sure that you keep stuff securely, access control, and people have really, really embraced this to the point where we now get probably somewhere in the region about 20 or 30 requests a day about helping people to try and tidy up their data and do a better job. And we've never seen that previously. So I think one of the really big learners from this was the engagement. And we engaged all the way from the board right down to the field workers, call agents, and the cleaners. So, we have literally gone from one end of the scale to the other. Our CEO has been absolutely amazing, and we used her sort of video blog on a sort of monthly basis to really help us land some of the messages. So that's been great, because they were brought in really early, and all of our directors really, really helped push the message and get their teams on board. So you can see some of the things we've used Yammer a lot. We used lots of articles, lots of posters. Did lots of road shows as well around probably about 20 of our sites, which actually doesn't feel like quite a lot, but we did get people to come to the sort of the bigger sites and see us there. We've also done lots of we do what we call Severn questions. So I featured in that, which again helped to just give some messages. It's what would you ask your colleagues to do? And I sort of give them the 2 messages. Understand what breaches and report them as you see them, or any potential breaches, and delete data that you don't need. There's really key simple messages that we were given. We've done some videos, and all of this has really helped. So not least, we've done classroom training. So we have done all the other things that we need to do. But I think we've tried to make this as fun as possible. People have really felt like it hasn't been painful. So I think that's really what I wanted to share with you, was the engagement really sort of supports the product there. So now we know we can go into any lift in any area, and people know who we are. It's only 2 people to remember, so our faces are quite visible all over the place. And people do want to talk to you, genuinely want to talk to you about, potential data breaches, or can I do this? Is this a risk? So we're now moving from, worrying about data and what is a breach to actually understanding what are the key risks that we're carrying. So what we're now doing is thinking about what do we want people to know? What do we want them to think and feel? Because that's really important. And then what are we actually going to ask them to do? So we haven't stopped at May 25th. We haven't said, right, okay, job done. We've done our policies, we've done our training. Time for us to go home. We're still around. We're still working with each of the teams. We have sort of email boxes where people can email in questions and risks. But what we really want people to know is what is a breach, what data we're holding, and how do we keep it safe. And I think that's where every single person in the company now is really starting to think about, oh, I've got some data in this, in this folder, and I really don't know if I should have it. And they're actually, it's almost like confession time. People are coming to us with, what do I do? And we've never seen that before. So I think we're starting to see a cultural change. The issue we've obviously got now is GDPR has gone live and something new will come along. So for us, it's how do we keep that live going forward? Yeah, so we will continue with our competitions and our game shows and our dressing up or whatever it is we're going to do. But we do have a comms person who helps us. So we have one comms person who has been supporting us through all of this, and she will continue to help us going forward, and we will still feed in lots of things in all the channels that we've already seen, and we'll make sure that we keep this thing alive, because it can also easily just go straight back underground and people stop remembering, oh, I need to do this because I've got personal data, or I've got health data here, and what will happen? How do I tell a customer that we need consent for that? How do I make sure that when we're doing new changes that we have privacy? So that's another area where we've really managed to engage people in terms of privacy impact assessments. And a lot of that has been the face-to-face engagement and supporting people and helping people in a way that maybe they felt previously is, you've got a template, go and fill it out, and then send it back to us. We've stopped doing that. We've started going through the draft something, come talk to us. Whether that's a 10-minute conversation or longer, we will help you through this, because actually it's really important that you understand it. So I think there's some of the sort of the nuggets I wanted to share really in terms of what we've done differently and how it's landed. So has anybody got any questions?
Right, thank you, Kulwinder. That's really illuminating. So, question over there.
Could I just ask a question? We've just had Lloyds Bank and now Severn Trent. Could I just ask you, in terms of the criticality of GDPR,
Yeah.
how would you level yourself against like a bank? Would you see yourself as it's important but not as important as a bank, for example?
That's not actually the stance we took. We've decided it is really important enough for us to be at board meetings, important enough for us to be at exec meetings on a sort of bi-weekly basis, important enough to attend lots and lots of meetings, team meetings, town halls, whatever it is. We've really, from our perspective, we handle customer data and our colleagues' data, and actually it's really important that we do it in the right way.
Because I just think that the perception of small organisations not too important for them, don't get too worried about it. It's a bit of a cul-de-sac really, because if you've got somebody's credit card details or their personal details, there's lots you can do with that.
Yeah, so we obviously collect money, we have people's health data, so I was just talking to earlier about the NHS, but actually we hold health data for reasons of making sure that we can supply water when there might be an incident. And so we really need to understand if someone is on dialysis, for example, because it could be their vital interest, that we make sure we get that water to them. So for us it is really high up the agenda and we'll continue to stay there.
Yeah, question on the second row there.
Sorry, thank you very much for that. Interesting study in the way in which you engaged the organisation. I was facing a similar problem well, about 8-10 years back with the Data Protection Act, which is really isn't just an improvement of that. Trying to engage everyone, I mean, from scare tactics in the boardroom to threats and redesigning the building even. But the interesting thing is, which probably this is going to be touched on a bit more, is the GDPR relates to customers externally, but also to employees internally. So, I mean, there's a tendency for there to be a heavy focus on the customers, which rightly one understands. But equally, I've seen as a lawyer challenges from within the organisation, which are even deadlier than the challenges externally. So, how did you, in terms of your training, how did you, how much did you interact with the HR department, for example?
They're actually one of our biggest supporters, and we've worked to the point where we've got our HR director to video the privacy notice for our colleagues. So it's something we've not had previously, but we have a colleague promise on our internal system, and our HR director printed that and made sure that he could quite clearly put out what data we hold on colleagues, how we handle it, what their rights are, and make it just as clear as we have for our customers. The other thing we have done is, with HR, we train every single person in classroom training. So it was only a 2-hour training, but it was absolutely crystal clear what they had to do. And we also talk about insider threats, so because that's actually the biggest issue. So, and we've done that in every area that we've worked with, is to say, well, actually, you always need to be looking around who could be that next insider threat, because it's more likely that it will be someone inside the company. Because you only have to look in the newspapers and think of Morrison's. So for us, that's actually a bigger risk. So
that's interesting, very good. Because of course, in terms of thinking of breaches, to be holistic, you have to have both bits. That's very useful. Thank you.
Question at front here.
Well, following on from the HR angle, engagement is a very topical concern in organizations, not just for a specific objective in mind. So it's a desideratum in itself intrinsically. But how, in this case, using engagement as a driver for sort of working on the GDPR agenda, and how is that, with engagement level, how is that sustained? How is there a strategy to ensure that engagement across the board, not just for a specific end, but sort of to improve the organizational effectiveness longer term?
So obviously we've got some lessons learned from the work we've already done. The other thing that I've been doing is I'm now heading up the communications and engagement for not just GDPR going forward, but also cyber security, our people and site security, all of our rollout of Office 365 and the new SharePoint. Anything that touches on data now, we're going to do a joint group, working group, where we learn from each other, but also make sure that we get out the right messages and continue with the messages, because actually data protection on its own is going to be quite boring going forward. So we are now linking up, and I've realised this, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to do something different, is linking up with the other areas and the other projects that are continuing to make sure that we can keep feeding in the data protection angle with everything else that we do. So.
Are meter readings considered personal?
Meter readings are only, well, it depends. So the way we look at it is, consumption data is personal to the property. Now, if you just had a list of meter readings and you didn't know where they were from, they're not personal. Obviously, in our systems, we can link them back to a property, which links back to an individual. So what we say is the meter number is personal data. And we've got challenged loads on that from our own team, saying, but that's just a meter, in the ground. How is that personal data? But actually, because of the links we've got in our own systems back to an individual, it is personal data.
Consumption 1 month to the next
Yeah.
will tell you whether there's a resident.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same as IP addresses? The internet
Yes,
service
absolutely.
providers?
Yeah.
Car number plates. Car number plates.
Car number plates, yes. So we have an ANPR system in our car park, And again, we've had to put controls in place to make sure, because again, all of those things link back to individuals. So it's been quite a tough journey. We've had a lot of challenges about meter readings and property numbers.
I think we've got time for one more question, lady in the towards the back.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping back a little bit where the gentleman there mentioned earlier about engagement and we talk about communication and other projects you're doing. I was wondering if you've got something like security culture as as an item on your board agenda, because I see like data protection can be something easily brought up to the board level, but if you go more generalized, when you talk about any insider can be a threat, then it falls onto the cultural level, which can be very generalized and then kind of lose the focus from the board. So I was wondering if there's something as an item on the agenda over there.
Yeah, so by working with our cyber team and our people in site security, it's making sure that we keep all of those things together, so data protection and the security and the cyber. For us, they're all interlinked. So whilst with there's 3 different people running those areas, we talk on a weekly basis about the things that we're doing, so we make sure that when we give messages out, they're really clear, but also when we're delivering, we make sure that it's for the purpose of all of those areas as opposed to just one.
I think there's a lot of synergies and overlaps between all these different areas, which is, I mean, we could go on for another couple of days talking about adding security into the mix. But anyway, so we'll move on to the next presentation. If you'd just like to join me, thank you, Kulwinder. Brilliant.